Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Surprise Jab Podcast. I'm your host, Zach Ruger, surprising you with new topics every single week and jabbing you with your daily dose of UFC, and we are absolutely jam-packed with UFC in this episode, and I've been so busy, I haven't had time to record an episode. Life's been hectic, guys. I've been working. The last week I worked 55 and a half hours. It might have been 56 and a half hours. It was crazy. Some absurd number. We had to make some money. We had spent way too much at the bars over the past semester at college, which was a blast. Might I add, junior year of college, the best year of college by far. But we are going to be recapping UFC 301 in this episode, dropping our predictions for UFC St. Louis, and talking about some new UFC fights that have been announced. So that's going to be fun. I'm excited to cover that. Also on today's episode, going to be looking at WWE Backlash. Pay-per-view went down last weekend. It was absolutely electric. I only saw the highlights, but the crowd in France, my goodness, so fun. I loved seeing the clips from that. Also, going to be giving I don't even know what it is, just talking about, reviewing, giving my thoughts on the Planet of the Apes trilogy, as tomorrow, May 11th, I will be seeing Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. So I'm not to really give anything away, but this is my favorite trilogy of all time. Caesar, my favorite character of all time as well. Checking in with the NBA and the NHL. Essentially just getting all caught up, if you will, on the podcast. We've been busy, we've been grinding, and that's exactly what we're going to be talking about on today's episode. So let's get right on into it. And might I add, I did land an internship this summer. I don't know if I mentioned that. It's with Rapid Packaging. Excited to see how that goes. I will be doing some marketing for them as an intern. Very excited to put my skills that I've learned in college to the test and learn new skills. So I'll be keeping you all updated on that throughout the summer. But as for new UFC news, we've had a couple good fights announced. I won't lie. I'm excited for some of these. Going down at UFC Louisville in Louisville, Kentucky on June 8th at the KFC Yum Center. I can't believe the KFC Yum Center is actually the name of an arena. Actually baffled by that. But we have some top 10 middleweight action as number 11 ranked Roman Dolidze takes on Michel Pereira, newly ranked number 13. We're going to be mentioning his fight, his performance at UFC 301. Dude's on an 8-fight win streak. Okay, dude's finished his last 3 opponents in round 1. He's finally earned himself a top 15 opponent, and Roman Dolidze just ducked Anthony Hernandez. Anthony Hernandez was going to run through him. Now he has to deal with Michel Pereira. Excited for that fight at UFC Louisville. And I don't even think that's the main event. It could be the main event. That's how freaking good he is, Michel Pereira. But Roman Dolidze kind of has been in decline since he beat Jack Hermansson. I don't know what happened in that fight. Hasn't done anything since. Got beat up by Marvin Vettori. Got beat up by Nasruddin Imavov. Who knows what's going down? Speaking of which, Nasruddin Imavov, of course, where is Nasruddin at? Number 8 ranked middleweight will be taking on the number 4 ranked middleweight. Oh, and actually, I stand corrected, the main event of UFC Louisville, Jared Cannonier, number 4, Nasruddin Imavov, number 8. Excited for that matchup. I didn't even realize that was the main event for UFC Louisville. Louisville's being treated with some top 15 middleweight action there. I'm jealous. I want to see these fights in person. Jared Cannonier, knockout artist. 17-6 professionally. Holds wins over Marvin Vettori, Anderson Silva, Sean Strickland. This guy is as legit as it comes. As for Nasruddin Imavov, 5-2 in the UFC, has been on a steady incline when it comes to wins. Big one over Roman Dolidze last time. I don't know who he was supposed to fight. I feel like he was supposed to fight like Kelvin Gastelum or something, but he gets a huge opportunity against Jared Cannonier. I'll have to see if Nasruddin can rise to that level because Jared was so impressive last summer over Marvin Vettori. Setting the middleweight significant strike record. I don't know what's going down, but I'm riding with him. Also announced, huge main event. I'm pumped for this one. The main event of UFC Abu Dhabi, a fight night going down August 3rd. Number 2 ranked bantamweight Corey the Sandman Sandhagen takes on the number 9 ranked Umar Nurmagomedov. Umar Nurmagomedov, cousin of Khabib, 17-0 professionally, 5-0 in the UFC. This guy is incredible. 2 performance bonuses in his 5 fights. I'm so excited to see Umar win this. And if he wins, title shot. The winner of this fight gets a title shot. I think that's crazy. Corey Sandhagen has been on a nice little run. Wins over Marlon Vera, wins over Song Yadong, wins over... Who else did Corey Sandhagen beat last year? I'm trying to think. He picked up another win over someone. He grappled Rob Font. That's who it was. Kind of a boring fight. He was actually supposed to fight Umar Nurmagomedov, so I'm happy that fight's getting announced. I'm also excited that the UFC is going to Abu Dhabi August 3rd. I've also heard from the corporate board of the UFC they're looking to get more away from Apex events and are going to try and do some more crowd events, so that is great to hear. So the Apex events suck. Apex events suck. Even though this card this weekend is extremely mid on paper, the fact it's in front of a St. Louis, Missouri crowd is going to make it 100 times better. Last fight I will touch on that has been announced. We go to the featherweights for UFC 304 in Manchester, England. That's right. Who'll be main eventing that? We got Leon Edwards. We got Tom Aspinall. That's going to be a crazy England card as the number 6 ranked featherweight Arnold Almighty Allen, who's 10-2 in the UFC, 19-3 professionally, takes on the number 10 ranked Giga Ninja Chikadze, 14-3 professionally, 7-1 in the UFC, coming off a big win over Alex Caceres. I mean, this is going to be a banger. Arnold Allen, tough time out last time against Max Holloway. I don't think he's fought since then, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's been a while since Arnold Allen last fought, but I'm happy to see him back in the octagon. I don't know who to ride with. I think I got ride with Arnold Allen. I think he gets superpowers when he fights in front of his home nation of England. So that's gonna be an exciting one. I'm actually really just thinking about that. It gets me all amped up. But other than that, not too many other big matchups when it comes to UFC fights. I can't lie. I've seen some bigger ones being announced, but as the year rolls on, we're gonna see even more massive ones. Of course, UFC 303, Conor McGregor and Michael Chandler. I am kind of hearing some word that Colby Covington may be taking on Ian Gary. That would be a gigantic co-main event. Right now, the co-main event's Jamal Hill versus Khalil Roundtree Jr., and I don't really think anyone's hyped for that fight, personally. I think everyone's kind of like, okay, Jamal, you just got knocked out. You're taking on someone with even more knockout power. I mean, I don't know if he is actually more knockout power than Alex Barrow, but Khalil Roundtree Jr. is a killer. We'll see how that fight goes, but lots of big fights on the horizon. I'll be excited to check them all out. But moving on from UFC, take a little break from UFC for a bit. We're going to look at the NBA and the NHL because my Minnesota Timberwolves, ladies and gentlemen, we are up 2-0 in round 2 over the Denver Nuggets. Incredible. We sweep them at home to start off the series. 2-0. Absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. And might I add with that, game 1, we win by 7. Game 1, we win by 7. It was a grind. It did not come easy. Cat dropped 20 points. Anthony Edwards, 43 points. Rudy Gobert only had 6 points. 13 rebounds, though. Was very helpful. Mike Conley, 10 assists for 14 points. Not too bad. Naz Reid off the bench, 16. I mean, we still couldn't control Nikola Jokic. 30 bomb, 9 assists, 8 rebounds. But we were kind of able to hold Aaron Gordon into check. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Christian Braun. So that was good. We then went back to Denver for Game 2. Game 2 went down, when was that, Monday? May 6th, yeah, so it's been a full week since we last played. Are you kidding me? Why are we waiting a full week to play? I mean, NHL, they go every other day. NBA's getting these little breaks, but we obliterate the Nuggets at home. We win by 26 points. We were up 30 at one point. We were up 30. Anthony Edwards and Karl-Anthony Towns both dropped 27. Cat had double-double with 12 rebounds, and we didn't even have Rudy Gobert. Kyle Anderson was starting. And might I add, Kyle Anderson is such a great role player. He is incredible. 9 rebounds, 8 assists, 6 points. I mean, when you're putting up stats like that, it just shows you're all over the court, you're contributing. I love to see it. Jaden McDaniels, whenever I play on NBA 2K and kind of sim through the game to try and play these ending scenarios with the Timberwolves and Nuggets, he only has like 5 to 4 points. I'm always like, that's not realistic. And then we look at his Game 2 stats, 5 points in 26 minutes. I don't know what Jaden McDaniels does on the court. He must be great on defense. I've never really paid attention to it, but we talk about that. Mike Conley, 4 points. 4 points. I mean, Mike, he's a veteran. He serves his purpose. Karl-Anthony Towns, Anthony Edwards, Naz Reid, those are your scores. Nickeil Alexander-Walker off the bench, who, by the way, used to be a starter with the Pelicans. This team is so deep. I mean, Wendell Moore Jr. off the bench. He's like our third string. Jordan McLaughlin's our third string. Luke Garza's our third string. Monte Morris, great backup point guard. Timberwolves have so much depth. And holding the Nuggets to 80 points, we almost held them under 80 points. Nikola Jokic held to only 16 points, did get 16 boards, 8 assists, but 16 points, that's not going to cut it. Aaron Gordon at 20, Michael Porter Jr. on 39 minutes played, 9 points. Ugh, just terrible. terrible. I love it, though. I absolutely love what the Timberwolves are doing, and we go home. I feel like we do play better in Minnesota, but it won't be easy. It won't be easy. I think we've lit a fire under the Nuggets, which could be an issue, but we're still riding with the Timberwolves. They play tonight, May 10th. It's May 10th already. Wow, we're 10 days into May. On the upper half of the Western bracket, the winner of this is who the Timberwolves will play. I'll ride with that confidence that we will beat the Nuggets, but we're taking on the winner of the Mavericks and the Thunder, and this has been a good series. 2 games in, already looking promising. Game 1, OKC handles them. Handles the Mavericks, wins by 22 points, 117-95. I mean, Luka Doncic had 19 points, Kyrie Irving 20, Daniel Gafford 16. Just couldn't really get it going. I mean, Jalen Williams of the Thunder was balling out. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, a rebound and an assist shy of a triple-double. Incredible. Chet Holmgren dropping 19, Aaron Wiggins 16. I mean, this team so well-rounded. But we go to game 2 yesterday. I mean, actually, it was on Tuesday. And when was this? When was game 2? What the heck? I knew it was yesterday. My goodness, why am I doubting myself? But we go to game 2, and lo and behold, the Mavericks take game 2 in Oklahoma, which is very nice. Is very nice, especially because there's just something when you win that game 2 as you're about to go back, the momentum's changing. The whole momentum is changing when it comes to your team. And I think that is what's really important for this Thunder team, actually for the Mavericks team, is that they really need momentum. They need momentum, and I don't know what it is. The Thunder are young. They have so many killer stars. They're such a young team. But the Mavericks, Luka Doncic robbed of MVP again. By the way, the awards, Nikola Jokic wins MVP. Should he have? He had a great season. He had a great season. I saw some people saying that Shai should have won. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He should have taken home MVP. I don't really know, but Mavericks win by 9, 119-110. Impressive stuff. I mean, Luka Doncic almost gets a triple-double, 29 points, 10 rebounds, 7 assists. Kyrie Irving only had 9 points, though. Only 9 points. PJ Washington, 29 bomb. He played the whole game. He played 40 minutes. Thunder, Shai drops 33. I mean, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? The star player is always going to ball out. But, yeah, intense stuff in the Western Conference. I'm riding with Thunder and Timberwolves, though, for the Western Finals. I think that's what's going to happen. As we go to the Eastern side, man, it is even more crazy because the New York Knicks are now up 2 games on the Pacers. They win by 4 in game 1. On Monday. Jalen Brunson is a stud. Jalen Brunson is the next big thing. 43 points. And I mean, the starting lineup, might I add, Josh Hart played the whole game. Never came out. 48 minutes. Okay. Jalen Brunson, 44 minutes. Dante DiVincenzo, 44 minutes. OG Anunoby, 42 minutes. Isaiah Hartenstein, 36 minutes. Mitchell Robinson came in for 12. This Knicks team is so deep. We go to game 2. They win by 9. Knicks are up 2-0 as we head back to Indianapolis. Insane stuff. Jalen dropped 29 in game 2. Dante DiVincenzo, 28. OG Anunoby, 28. Josh Hart, 19. Isaiah Hartenstein, 14. This Knicks team is likable, too. I know New Yorkers, sometimes they aren't the most likable of people, but this Knicks team, I can get behind them. I can get behind this Knicks team. I don't mind them that much. Pacers, they're not that bad either. But you got Pascal Siakam. You got Tyrese Haliburton. He's dropping 30 points every game. TJ McConnell, great veteran off the bench. Aaron Nesmith, Miles Turner, they're okay. But this next team, they've got momentum. They're clicking so well. Jalen Brunson, Dante DiVincenzo, and Josh Hart all played at Villanova at the same time. They've had that connection since college, and it is translating to the NBA. Exciting stuff. The big series, though, this is the one that everyone's talking about. I think for exciting series, it's going Timberwolves, the run they're having, that's the top one. Then it's the Celtics, then it's the Knicks, then it's whatever's going on with the Thunder and Mavericks. Because the Celtics win game 1 by 25 points. They blow out the Cavs. It's not even a contest. Donovan Mitchell dropped 33. He was the only one trying. Jaylen Brown had 32 for the Celtics. Jason Tatum at 18. Good win. We go to game 2. Cavaliers win by 24 points out of nowhere. out of nowhere. Donovan Mitchell, 29 points. Evan Mobley, 21. Max Strus and Isaac Okoro, 12 points each. Karis LeVert off the bench, 21 points. Where'd that come from? Jason Tatum had 25. Jaylen Brown, 19. That was all the Celtics were doing. What in the world? Mavericks and Cavaliers looking to shock everyone and upset the number one seeds, respectively. But the Cavaliers, Donovan Mitchell, if the Celtics are frauds. I think we all knew all along the Celtics are frauds. They're the Bills of the NBA. Jason Tatum's Josh Allen has great in-season stats, is leading his team. Once he gets to the playoffs, he's choking. That's how it goes. I'm excited to see what happens. My prediction right now, I do think the Celtics will win. I think the Knicks beat them. I think Thunder advance, Timberwolves advance, Timberwolves go to the finals. Timberwolves and Knicks, 7 games. T-Wolves win the 7th game. I mean, come on, that's cinema, right? I just wrote the greatest NBA playoff script of all time. I'm just kidding. I'm being sarcastic, but it's fun. NBA playoffs, love watching it. I don't really watch it, though. I'll be honest. I don't really watch it. I watch as much NBA as I watch NHL, because the NHL, Stanley Cup playoffs, they're raging on, too. We're into the second round. Exciting stuff. It's been a fun time. Checking out all the series. I mean, on the western side of things, I'm trying to see where we're located at right now. We have games today between the Panthers and Bruins, Oilers and Canucks. Florida Panthers, Boston Bruins in the Eastern Conference. Series is tied. Panthers won game 2, 6-1. Bruins took game 1, 5-1. Competitive series as it comes. I wasn't really, I'm not really a huge fan of either team, so I don't really care who comes out of that. But I do know whoever comes out of the matchup between the Hurricanes and Rangers is probably my favorite to win the eastern side of or win the Eastern Conference, if you want to put it like that. And especially the Rangers. Rangers are my pick to win the Stanley Cup, and they dominated the Hurricanes in both games. Not really. I think dominated is kind of the incorrect term, but they bested them. 4-3 in both games. Impressive stuff. Last one, second OT. Jake Gunenzal, 2 goals. Dmitry Orlov had 1. Who scored the other goal? Why am I only seeing 3 goals scored? Oh, that was for the Hurricanes. My bad. The Rangers, Alexis Lafreniere had 2 goals, 5 shots as well. Vincent Trocheck had the other, and Chris Kreider. I love pronouncing these names because I know if any of my buddies ever listen to the podcast, they always go, "You're pronouncing that wrong." And I was like, "I'm sorry. I have no idea how to pronounce all these foreign names." Although I am good with UFC names. I might add, I'm good with UFC names. NHL names, not the best. And wow, I speak incorrectly, my friends. Rangers are up 3-0. They won in overtime the other day, 3-2. How about that? Rangers are up 3-0. I love to see it. I'm not a Hurricanes hater, but I like the New York Rangers. I don't know what it is about. Maybe it's their logo. It seems American. But New York, Rangers are on fire. Knicks are on fire. If the Jets win the Super Bowl, I mean, come on. We might have to intervene. The military might have to intervene if New York's getting all these wins. My goodness. On the western side of the bracket, Oilers and Canucks. Canucks are up 1-0. Canucks stole game 1, 5-4. Good stuff with them. Other end, Avalanche and Stars are tied 1-1. Game 1, Avalanche won in OT 4-3, but Stars got the momentum rolling the other day, won 5-3. Impressive stuff in Dallas. And honestly, hockey would not strike me as a Texas sport, but I actually know some kid who actually playing in I think it's called the Null, one of the leagues, and his team was down in Texas. So, I mean, they play down there. Stars, Miro Heiskanen, 2 goals on 5 shots. Roop Hintz, 1 goal on 3 shots. And Esa Lindell, 1 shot, 1 goal, 1 point. That'll do it for you, man. Impressive stuff. And even Tyler Seguin, I recognize his name from the Dallas Stars. I used to know every single player in the NHL back in 2014. I used to play the NHL games on Xbox all the time, man. I would play 82-game seasons, all the playoffs. I would make trades and stuff. And I would always play both sides because I didn't know how to properly play defense. So I would have to play both sides and just only play offense. So it was pretty comical. And I would just create the best endings to games. I had one with the Blackhawks, and I think it was the Canadians. And I literally had Jonathan Toews sneaking in with under 0.1 seconds left. I couldn't have even made it up. I couldn't believe I did. I was so hyped. I would wake up early before school every day, and my bus would come, I think at 8:30, 8:35, 8:15. I would get up at 7, quickly get changed, quickly brush my teeth, grab like a Pop-Tart, run downstairs, and play 2 NHL games every morning. I did this for, I think, 4th grade to 6th grade. And my parents never knew. My dad left for work. My mom was at the gym. And I would just be grinding downstairs on NHL. Then I'd get home and be like, oh, I haven't played Xbox today. They're like, he can go play. And I get another 2 hours of playing time. I was absolutely grinding it. But my predictions right now for the Stanley Cup, I'm probably going to go with the Canucks going to the Western Finals against the Stars, and I'm saying the Stars advance. Actually, I'm going to go Canucks. I'm going to say Canucks advance. No one's really going to see that coming. And then I think Rangers are going to run through everyone. I think Rangers blow out the Hurricanes. We'll give the Panthers a series over the Bruins, and then Rangers and Canucks, we'll pick the Rangers. I think that's our little NHL playoff check-in. We could look at all the stats. We could go in depth, but I just haven't been watching, and I know that the NHL playoffs is always like one of the best postseason leagues to watch, but I just haven't had time. I haven't had time. When I do have free time, I'm just doing things I enjoy. I'm playing some little Xbox, reading a book, listening to music, the whole shebang, but fun times in the playoffs. And I'll tell you what else was an absolute bang, or you could say it was a bang. UFC 301. That's right. What is it now? 297, 298, 299, 300. Our 5th pay-per-view of the year for the UFC. This is our first episode of the week, our only episode of the week. We are finally able to recap UFC 301. And let me see if I nailed some of my predictions. I didn't nail all of them. Let's check it out. So UFC 301, of course, went down in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil last Saturday. And there were some great moments. We'll go to the first prelim, and it was our first performance of the night as Alessandro Costa TKO'd Kevin Borjas in the second round of the flyweight division. And Alessandro just dominated. He just dominated, outstruck him 60-18. 60-18. Come on, man. Alessandro Costa was in his bag, getting it done. I love to see him. I love to see when these guys are just absolutely balling out, giving it their all, doing what they do best. And Alessandro Costa, man, he got his fifth career knockout victory, making him, what is he now? He's now 2-2, and the UFC. His losses are to Steve Erceg and Amir Albazi. Those are not too bad losses to have. His other 2 wins, performance of the night, round 2, TKOs. I'm starting to see a little pattern here of Alessandro Costa. Hopefully they don't give him a high opponent next time and he loses. But we do know that if he loses, he'll get a finish next time out. As for Kevin Borjas, 2 fights on the UFC, 2 losses, that stuff. But hey, Kevin just laid on the pressure, a little standing, dropped him with a little punch, followed it up. Happy to see it. I like Alessandro Costa. I like seeing him fight. So excited to see what's next for him. Alessandro Costa kicking the knife well. I don't know what I thought it would be. I think I had it as a decision. So, we knew Alessandro would win, but we didn't know how. Next fight on the prelims, Ismael Bonfim, the 28-year-old from Brazil, made Brazil 2-0 for the evening. Just dominates Vink Pichel. I don't know how he didn't get finished. Significant strikes, 111-61. Both men landed a takedown. Ismael just won every round. Outstruck him every round, took him down in round 3. Just what more could you ask for? What more could you ask for? Ismael getting his second win in the UFC, making him 2-1, 20-4 record, might I add, 20-4 record at 28 years old, slowly entering his prime. Excited to see what him and his brother Gabriel do. Shame we couldn't get him on this card. But yeah, good win for Ismael. And as for Vink Pichel, he's 41 years old, little 2-fight losing streak now. It might be time to call it quits. He has less fights than Ismael has wins, and he has like 13 years on him. So, Vink, nice knowing you, but Ismael, your time has come. Excited to see. Excited to see what he does next. Honestly, I love it. Keeping us a-rolling. We head to, what was the next prelim? Diona Barbosa versus Ernesta Karlikait in the women's division. I got this one wrong. I thought Ernesta would win. She was 5-0, undefeated, and even though she outstruck Diona 5-2, the Brazilians moved to 3-0. On the evening. Incredible. Dione wins by unanimous decision, 29-28 across the board. She grappled her in round 1, grappled her in round 2, and failed to grapple her in round number 3. Totals from the fight, Ernesta, 53 significant strikes at 39. Total strikes, 188 in favor of Ernesta. 2 of 11 on takedowns for Diona Barbosa. Just under 4 minutes of control time. She gets it done. Good win for her. Wins her UFC debut. As for Ernesta, loses her UFC debut. It's unfortunate, but I don't think it'll deter either woman. They're both kind of young, 25, and I guess 31 isn't that young, but I mean it's not old. It's not old. Diona 7-2 now. Ernesta 5-1. We'll see what's next for these women. The flyweight division is pretty deep when it comes to women. After that, we had, our second performance of the night bonus as Mauricio Rufy took on Jamie Malarkey, and this guy is so legit. I thought he'd get the KO in round number 2. He decided to get it in round number 1, and he's so fun. He's so fun to watch. I can't even believe it. TKOs him in round 1, 4 minutes, 42 seconds in. He hit him with I don't even know what it was, like a sweep takedown. He hit him with a sweep takedown. He went down, kicked out Jamie Malarkey's legs were under him. Jamie fell down on the ground. Mauricio almost got him back down. It was crazy. Once he started laying into him, he dropped him. He was pounding him. Mauricio Rufy, impressive. Gets his 10th career knockout. And by the way, he's got 10 wins. That's right. 5-fight win streak now moves to 6. This guy's going to be a killer. This guy's going to be a killer in the UFC. I'm already calling it. Lightweight division, look out. Mauricio Rufy is coming into town. Jamie Malarkey, I mean, he's now on a little 2-fight losing streak. Been finished in both of those. And he's 1-3 in his last 4 fights. He's been knocked out in all of his losses. Yeah, Jamie, 17-8 now. And your time is drawing to an end. Your time is drawing to an end. But Mauricio Rufy moving Brazil to 4-0 on the evening. It was looking pretty good. And then we moved to our 5th fight. And I thought Jakar Close would get the knockout. Instead, he got the decision win. But Brazil loses its first matchup of the night as Jakar Close beats Joaquim Silva in the men's lightweight division. Jakar Close outstriking him significantly 70-59, but in round 3, Joaquim Silva actually dropped Jakar Close, took the final round, but Jakar just won the first 2. He had outstruck him in both, defended any takedowns. Actually, in round 2, Jakar took the pressure to him, had 3 minutes and 58 seconds control time, didn't even land a takedown though. Jakar Close getting it done, 4-fight win streak now since his return. Wow, 4-fight win streak actually. I didn't even realize that. It may be too soon for a ranked opponent. I don't even know who he could fight. Bobby Green, maybe? I mean, I don't even know who Jakar Close could fight. Joaquim Silva, he's now, he's 2-4 in his last 6. 1-2 in his last 3. You know, he's getting up there in age, too. Joaquim Silva's 35. Jakar Close is 36. I'll be interested to see what both these guys do next, but, I mean, just nothing really happened in this one. Brazil lost his first fight, and actually Brazil would take another hit as Mataika Bakorobai, by some miracle of God, beat Elvis Brenner. I was so pissed. You gotta be kidding me. Elvis Brenner loses this fight. Just gets dominated. 29-27s across the board. We kick off round 1. Mataika just dominates. 2-4 on takedowns, 3 minutes control time. Outstrikes him significantly, 20-10. There was nothing to do. We go to round 2. Mataika outstrikes him 28-21 significantly. 2 of 9 on takedowns. Pressure was being put on. Round 3, Elvis Brenner kind of was turning around. Mataika did drop him. They both landed the same amount of significant strikes, 17. Elvis Brenner whipped up 3 takedowns for 2 minutes control time. Mataika had 1 for 1:10. Mataika ordered by gets the unanimous decision, 29-27s across the board. And what's his win streak at now? Mataika is now up to, 8-fight win streak. Incredible, only 26 years old. Make it 2-0 in the UFC. As for Elvis Brenner, suffering his first UFC defeat, he's now 3-1. It wasn't a bad loss. But it was kind of like, dang, Mataika likes to grapple. 5 of 17 on takedowns for 7 minutes of control time. That's just a lot. Of grappling. Fans weren't really rocking with it, but Elvis Brenner, he'll be back. Trains with Charles Oliveira. He just suffered a loss himself. I'm sure these boys will be back. No worries about it. Moving on to our second to last prelim as we head into the women's strawweight division as number 15th ranked Karolina Kowalski took on number 13th ranked Yasmin Lucindo. They were previously the other way around. They swapped spots in the rankings, my bad. But Yasmin Lucindo gets the unanimous decision victory just as we thought. Actually, we had her getting a round 2 sub, but we knew she'd win. We knew she would win. We knew she'd get it done. Outstrikes Karolina 83-42 significantly. Takes her down twice for 6 minutes control time. I mean, just round 1, 25 significant strikes to 7. She did nothing. Round 3, 20-9. Yasmin was dominating her. Karolina's best round was round 2, and Yasmin still outstruck her 38-26 significantly. Yeah, good win for Yasmin Lucindo. Make it 3 straight. make it 3 straight wins for her 16-5 record. And might I add, she's 22 years old. She's so young. Carolina is, what is she now? 38 years old. This does snap a little 4-fight win streak for herself. It's unfortunate, but changing the guard. It's a changing of times, and Yasmin Lucindo is on the rise. Who could she fight next, though, in the women's strawweight division? I'm liking a little, maybe a little number 8 ranked Amanda Hebus. Could be a great challenge for her, but we'll see how far the UFC wants to push her up the rankings. And after that, ladies and gentlemen, we headed to our final prelim of the night as we headed to the men's featherweight division as Johanderson Brito took on Jack Shore. And, this was a weird one. This was a weird one to end the prelims. I don't think anyone knew what to make of this one. As Jack Shore loses in round number 2, Johanderson Brito gets the win due to a leg cut. We'll start with round 1. Johanderson Brito outstrikes him 15-9. Jack goes 0 for 2 on takedowns. 2 minutes and 31 seconds control time for Johanderson Brito. Johanderson Brito wins. And then round 2, I don't even know if Jack Shore got hit with a leg kick. I think he got hit with one, but it created a cut on his leg, and the doctor came and looked at it and just called the fight. I think everyone was perplexed. I was perplexed. I was like, there's no way they're actually going to stop it from a leg cut. Now, we don't know if there's any internal damage, if the doctor could see the bone or something, but Jack Shore, man, loses his second professional bout by finish in round 2. It goes down as a TKO for Johanderson Brito, oddly, so technically his 7th career knockout. But more insane, Johanderson Brito, 5 wins now. Make it 5 wins. Make it 5 wins for the guy. Incredible. His first fight in the UFC, he hasn't gotten a finish in. So that was, actually, he did get a finish. He's gotten a finish in every single win he's gotten. That is Johanderson Brito. What a guy. Cannot believe it. But yeah, this was just weird. No one really knew what to make of it. I still don't know what to make of it. But Jack Shore will be back. Johanderson Brito will definitely be back. 17-3-1 now. 17 wins. And of those 17 wins, Johanderson Brito now has 15 finishes. So this guy is a killer. When it comes to the men's featherweight division, I think we got to give him a ranked opponent. I think number 15th ranked Sodiq Yusuff, we just fed him to a Brazilian. Let's feed him to another one. Or even number 13th ranked Dan Ige, number 12 ranked Bryce Mitchell. A lot of options when it comes to giving Johanderson Brito a ranked opponent. But 5 wins now. They're all finishes. We gotta do it. Unfortunate result, but like I said, weird stuff happens on every single UFC event. With that, we got into the main card, and this was one of the most electric starts to a card I think I've ever seen. The first 3 fights, all good finishes. I was very taken aback. With this one. Just how impressive all these guys were. We kicked it off. Paul Craig, Kyle Barallo, and you know what? We had Kyle Barallo, round 2 knockout, and son of a gun, Kyle Barallo did it. Kyle Barallo knocks out Paul Craig in round number 2, earning himself $50K performance. Round 1 kicks off. Kyle outstrikes him 20-15 significantly. Paul Craig 0-15 on takedowns. My goodness, Paul Craig, you need to figure out a different strategy. Paul Craig, you can't just keep going into guard and hoping these guys follow you down. They're not idiots, Paul Craig. I mean, come on, Paul. Come on, you know better. You know better, Paul. Yes, you do. Yes, you do, Paul. You gotta be smarter. You gotta be smarter. But man, we go into round 2, and we're not even 2 minutes in, and Kyle is just laying it on. Paul's getting rocked. He looks wobbly. Kyle clips him with some to the head, and Paul goes out cold to the mat. Kyle Barallo gets his, what is Kyle Barallo at now? His 5th career knockout, extending his win streak to 15 wins. Kyle Barallo, 15-fight win streak, making his 6th in the UFC. My goodness, Kyle Barallo, you are a killer. As for Paul Craig, he's now 1-4 in his last 5, and he has been finished in 3 of those losses, including back-to-back losses. So a little 2-fight losing streak officially for Paul Craig. Unfortunate result, but this is, like I said, changing of the guard. Some of these fights were changing of the guard. This was one of them. Man. Kyle Barallo was in his bag. He was not losing in Brazil. And that extended Brazil to, what was it at? They got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This was Brazil's 7th win of the night. They had 13 fights, 13 Brazilian fighters in each fight. Brazil was in their bag, and they kept it rolling, man. They kept it rolling. Kyle Barallo now ranked at number 12 in the rankings. Paul Craig is kicked out of the middleweight rankings. Get him out of there. Kyle Barallo at 12. I think number 9 ranked Jack Hermanson is a perfect fight for him. I think it's just speaking to me personally. I say we make that fight. Cabral, Jack Hermanson. Let's do it. After this fight, we kept it moving, middleweight division, Michel Pereira, Io Patera, and Michel Pereira was supposed to fight. I forgot who. I think he was supposed to get a ranked opponent. I think it was Chris Curtis. Was it supposed to be Chris Curtis? Or maybe it was it Roman Dolidze? I think it was Roman Dolidze. It was someone. He was supposed to fight someone. Instead, Io Patera takes this on short notice, and I kid you not, Michel Pereira walked across the octagon, slapped on a guillotine choke standing, and put Io Patera to sleep. It looked too easy. It looked too easy for Michel Pereira, who gets his 8th career submission, his 19th career finish. He was supposed to fight Mahmoud Muradov. That's who he was supposed to fight. But man, Michel Pereira making it look easy. 54 seconds. All it took. Michel Pereira's win streak is now at 8 wins. Okay, and mind you, make it a 3-fight finish streak all in a minute. All in a minute. 1 minute 6 knockout of Andre Petrovsky. Minute and 1 second submission of Michael Lukajacek. 54 second submission of Io Patera. Michel Pereira, incredible. He's now ranked number 13th in the division, and we got to give him we got to give him someone high. We got to give him a top 10 guy. Give him the winner of Roman Dolidze, and who do we say Roman's fighting? We just said Roman Dolidze is fighting someone. Who is it? Oh, he is fighting. Michel Pereira already has his next fight against Roman Dolidze. So how about that? He already did that. We already mentioned that earlier. As for Io Patera, it's rough. Io Patera is now 2-4 in the UFC. He's 1-3 in his last 4, and he's been finished in every single loss. Every single loss he's been finished. So I don't exactly know what's going to come of him. All I know is Michel Pereira is on the rise, and I love him. I love him, Michel. You kept Brazilian fighters on top. And unfortunately, in our next fight, I just, if there's an Anthony Smith hater on the planet, it's me. And if there's none, if all of Anthony Smith haters are dead, then I'm dead. I mean, come on. Anthony Smith beats the undefeated Vitor Petrino. I can't take it. I can't take it. Anthony Smith cannot keep getting away with this, beating young up-and-comers. Unreal. Anthony Smith gets his 16th career submission, his 35th career finish. Incredible. I cannot believe it. Vitor Petrino was previously 11-0. He's now 11-1. Just wow. All I gotta say is just wow. And first off, this fight lasted exactly 2 minutes. The first minute and 30 seconds, minute and 45 seconds, Vitor Petrino is just beating on Anthony Smith. Every time he lands a punch, it looks like it's going to knock him out. Anthony Smith, he took 10 significant strikes. Every one of those punches landed so clean on Anthony Smith. He wasn't going to last much longer. And then Vitor Petrino decided to go for a takedown, gives up his neck. Anthony Smith straps in a guillotine, and Vitor taps. I couldn't believe it. I was like, what are you doing? Anthony Smith getting his first win since August of 2023. Wow. I don't know what to make of it. He's now 2-1 in his last 3. He is the 2-3 in his last 5. But man, the man, the myth, the legend, Anthony Lionheart Smith, still kicking butt. Anthony Smith, how old is he? 35 years old now. Vitor, 26, suffering your first professional defeat, especially in your home nation of Brazil, does not do wonders for the confidence. I can't lie, that will not do wonders for your confidence. But you did lose to a veteran. He's humble, he's cocky, he's Anthony Smith. He's Anthony Smith, ladies and gentlemen. Anthony Smith will keep his ranked spot at number 10. I don't know what to do with him. Number 12 ranked Bogdan Guskov. Number 13th ranked Osman Mirzakhanov. He could go up and fight Johnny Walker at 7 again. He could fight Nikita Krylov. Anthony Smith can do whatever he wants. He likes to stay active. I mean, Anthony Smith, he fights. I mean, he fought 3 times last year. He fought 3 times in 2020, twice in 2021. 2022 only fought once because he did injure his leg. So first fight's in May of this year. Who knows? Maybe we'll see him fight 2 more times. We'll see. Anthony Smith, as much as I joke I'm a hater, I got to give it to the guy. 35 years old, whooping these youngins' butts. Impressive. Vitor, back to the drawing board. You got to be smarter than that. You got to be smarter than that, Vitor Petrino. Next fight, the co-main event, the legend, the myth, the man, whatever you want to call him, the former men's featherweight champion, the former bantamweight and featherweight title challenger, Jose Aldo. Gosh darn it, he frickin' did it. I said he'd get it done. I said he'd get a decision win. And son of a gun, he whoops Jonathan Martinez's butt. I mean, come on, Jose Aldo putting on an old school beating on the young and up and coming Jonathan Martinez. Jose Aldo, 37 years old, getting his what is this? Jose Aldo's 32nd career victory. This was his 40th professional MMA bout, and he did exactly what he said he was going to do. Outstruck Jonathan Martinez 77-52 significantly. Total strikes 101-80, and he landed a takedown. Jose Aldo took him down in round number 3 for no reason. Just took him down, held him in crucifix, domination. He was actually kind of going for some arm triangles, it looked like, at points. Round 1, it was very close. Round 1 was the closest round of the fight. Jose, trying to do the best he could to outstrike him. He did. Outstruck him by 2. Round 2, though, almost knocks Jonathan Martinez out. Outstrikes him 30-14. Incredible. Jonathan Martinez shot 2 takedowns throughout the whole fight, actually thinking he could take down Jose Aldo. Merab tried 16 times, couldn't get him. Okay? You weren't going to get it, Jonathan Martinez. In round 3, Jose almost knocks him out again, was taking him down. Total strikes 54-44 in the final round. Jose Aldo back in the MMA win column for the first time since December of 2021. Oh my goodness, a legend, a legend, a legend. I love the guy. His MMA career, or his contract, I should say, did expire. His MMA contract did expire, so, not MMA, his UFC contract, I should better be phrasing it as. So he is technically a free agent. He's technically not signed with the UFC anymore. I know he had 3 boxing matches last year, won 2 of them, had a draw in the 3rd, and I'm just curious to see what he does. He is ranked number 8 now in the men's bantamweight division. Jonathan Martinez is now down to 14 in the rankings. He'll probably fight an unranked competitor, but Jose Aldo, a lot of options. You got number 5 ranked Henry Cejudo. That's a dream matchup. You got a rematch with number 4 ranked Marlon Vera. You could even have him fight Corey Sandhagen if the Umar Nurmagomedov fight falls through. You could just give Jose Aldo a title shot. Okay, we've learned with what we're going to talk about in a second that rankings don't matter when it comes to getting a title fight. It's all about who shows up. It's all about who's ready for the fight. It's all about who wants it more. And I'll be darned, Jose Aldo won this way more impressive stuff. I don't know if he's going to return to the UFC, but all I know is it was great watching Jose Aldo put on an old school beating. Fun times with Jose Aldo. Jonathan Martinez, look, Jonathan, you're 30 years old. Yeah, this was a tough loss, but don't let it discourage you. Don't let it discourage you. Don't follow the Adrian Yanez train of repeatedly getting knocked out. Take a lot of time to recover, assess what needs to be done, and just remind yourself that you lost to Jose Aldo. He's on the top 10 greatest UFC fighters of all time. Think about that. The main event up next, the final thing we'll talk about for UFC 301 as the men's flyweight champion. I was about to say featherweight for some reason. The men's flyweight champion Alexander Pantoja took on the number 10 ranked Steve Erceg. And yeah, Pantoja retained. But it was not how you thought it would. It was not how you thought. Would I pick Steve Erceg? I just said, maybe he'll get a submission, maybe he'll get a knockout. I don't even know what I officially said, but Steve Erceg brought the fight. I mean, absolutely incredible. Totals from the fight, Alexander Pantoja outstrikes him 125-111 significantly. Significant strike percentage, over 50% for both guys. Total strikes, 143 and 129 in favor of Pantoja. Takedowns, 1 of 6 for Steve Erceg, 9 of 19 for Alexander Pantoja. 8 minutes, 15 seconds control time. Pantoja did not want to keep this on the feet. Pantoja learned early on that Steve Erceg, he can strike. Steve Erceg can strike well. Round 1, Pantoja, 2 takedowns. 2 minutes of control time, outstruck him significantly, 30-17. We were like, oh man, Steve landed some good shots, but Pantoja has his number. All right. Round 2, Pantoja took him down 3 times, only 1 minute and 25 seconds of control time. Steve Erceg outstruck him 28-23 significantly. It was a rounded piece heading into round 3. We head to round 3. Pantoja takes him down 3 times, almost 2 minutes of control time, outstruck him 34-22 significantly. We were like, okay, if this was a 3-round fight, Pantoja would have won. Okay? But this was not a 3-round fight. This was a 5-round fight. We head to round 4. Steve Erceg defends the 1 takedown Pantoja shot, outstrikes him 31-23 significantly, and heading into the final round, it was all tied up. Incredible. And then round 5, Steve Erceg, striking-wise, was only outstruck by 2, 15-13 significantly, 22-20 total. Was able to land a takedown, but it was, Pantoja was easily able to get up. And Pantoja was able to land one takedown of his own to get 2 minutes and 46 seconds of control time to steal the fight. And I saw people saying Steve Erceg won. On verdict, it was in the 0.4 for separation between everyone who thought won. And you know what? Pantoja gets the nod. We had Fabio Alves and Sal D'Amato with the 48-47 scorecards. That's correct. Dave Torelli, 49-46. Literally, every single time someone's in, their home state, there's always one judge who's given out a scummy scorecard, and that was this fight. This was not a 49-46 in favor of Alexander Pantoja. No way. No chance in hell. Vince McMahon, you know what I'm saying. And Pantoja, he retains. Impressive stuff. This will be his second title defense, third title win, and make it a 6-fight win streak for him. 6-fight win streak for Alexander Pantoja. He improves to a mighty 28-5 record. They don't move him up in the pound-for-pound rankings, which I don't really agree with. He's at 10. He's below Dricus Du Plessis, who he should be ahead of. He's behind Max Holloway, which is correct, but he should be ahead of Volk. He should be ahead of Volk because he's, especially as of late, if we're looking at career-wise, I think he's in the right spot, but I think Pantoja should be in the number 7 spot when it comes to the pound-for-pound rankings, but Steve Erceg only moves up to 9 in the freaking flyweight rankings. Insane play from the UFC ranking committee. I mean, come on. Come on, this guy just took Pantoja to a close decision. People are calling this a robbery. People are calling this fight a robbery, and you're out here keeping him at 9, okay? Number 8 guy just got knocked out. The number 7 guy has fought once last year in September. Number 6 guy, Muhammad Mokaev, had a boring decision. Number 5 guy, Alex Perez, has 1 win in the last freaking, I don't even know how many years. Number 4 guy, Kaikar France, hasn't fought since July. Lemiro Bazzi hasn't fought since July of last year. Brandon Moreno just lost. Brandon Ravella's lost to champ. Steve Erceg should be in the top 3. Steve Erceg should be in the top 3, and Steve Erceg should get a top opponent next time out. Steve Erceg, Kaikar France, book it. Steve Erceg versus Brandon Ravella, Brandon Moreno, book it. I'm a Steve Erceg fan. It was fun to pick him. I won't lie. It was so fun to pick him, especially, some moments he would actually clip Pantoja with a big shot. You'd be like, there's no way. There's no way he's about to do it. But Pantoja's grappling is on a whole nother level. He's the champ for a reason. He did exploit a lot of holes in Pantoja's game plan. So whenever Pantoja does fight next, whether it be Amir Albazi, whether it be Muhammad Mokaev, whether it be Manel Kape, because Manel Kape is actually fighting, I think they're targeting Manel Kape versus Amir Albazi for an upcoming fight. I think that's what they're trying to do. But whoever he fights next, Pantoja, if you can stunt the grappling, if you can outstrike Pantoja, that's your strategy, knocking him out. But the grappling is what you really have to work on. Brandon Moreno did a great job of that in their first fight, or their championship fight last year. I won't lie. Brandon Ravella couldn't stop it. Steve Erceg couldn't stop it. We'll see if someone else can stop it. But UFC 301, a fun event. Bunch of fun moments, bunch of fun highlights. The night goes to Jose Aldo, man. The night goes to Jose Aldo. He returns. He gets it done. And he is back in the UFC. Hopefully he stays. I love the guy. I absolutely love Jose Aldo. So yeah, that'll cap off UFC 301. We'll leave it to the past. And speaking of international events, might I add, here on the podcast, we are fans of WWE. I know people criticize WWE, but me personally, I love it. Man. I find it entertaining. I'm there for the storylines. I know it's fake. I'm not an idiot, but I like watching the storylines, man. And the UFC had their first pay-per-view since WrestleMania. They had Backlash France, the UFC's first pay-per-view in France, and it did not disappoint. This was absolutely electric. 11,628 fans packed the LDLC Arena in Lyon, France. And this was so good. The crowd was absolutely electric. You had French commentators, Spanish commentators, your English commentators. This was awesome. This was absolutely awesome. The crowd loved it. And there were only 5 wrestling matches on the whole card. And it just filled up so nicely. The event took its time slotted hours, spot of 3 hours. It worked well. The crowd was just electric. We kicked off the night the Bloodline, which is now Solo Sikoa and Tama Tonga. Two pretty unknown people to hardcore WWE fans. I don't even know who Tama Tonga is. I just know he's part of the Samoan clan. They took on Kevin Owens and Randy Orton in a tag team street fight. Matchup lasted 19 minutes and 25 seconds, and it was an absolute banger. The crowd was loving it when frickin' Randy Orton came out. They were singing his theme music so well. And knowing that this is how international crowds are, I want to hold a WrestleMania in France. I want to hold a WrestleMania in England. The European market is such a better fan base and then the USA market, especially for crowds. They're so much more into it. They're absolutely electric. And this was just absolutely amazing. And the Bloodline wins. They're building up this whole saga. I'm sure they're trying to do like the new Bloodline versus the old Bloodline. Whenever Roman Reigns returns, Kevin Owens, Randy Orton, they're happy to give up the win to two up-and-comers. After that, had a little triple threat match for the WWE Women's Championship, and Bayley retained her belt. She defeated Naomi, who's a stud, and Tiffany Stratton, who is the next best thing in the UFC, without a doubt. They're trying to groom her, if you will, to being the next big star, and she might even win the Money in the Bank, which I think is in 2 months. I think that goes down in July. Oh, speaking of July, I'm actually going to Monday Night Raw, July 29th, the Raw before SummerSlam with two of my buddies. So that's going to be a blast. I'm excited for that. Let me just tell you, I'm excited to go to a WWE event. It's probably been a decade. It has probably been a decade since I last went to a WWE event. After that, our third matchup of the night, Damian Priest defending his belt against Jey Uso to retain the World Heavyweight Championship in a 15-minute, 45-second bout. And Jey Uso had the crowd bumping. I mean, it was so intense. Everyone had their phones out, their hands are waving, they're singing Uso, and I was like, yes, France, you guys get it. That is absolutely electric. I'm here for it. But Damian Priest retains. They're definitely trying to build him up as a great champion. This was certainly a building pay-per-view. Okay, after this, I think in June we go to Clash at the Castle, which is in Scotland. That's going to be a great pay-per-view, if you will. After that, Money in the Bank. After that, SummerSlam. Just, not too many big events. WWE and UFC kind of have the same structure. One big pay-per-view every month. But Damian Priest, absolute stud. And they're kind of plotting some little seeds about holes in his group called the Judgment Day. Excited to see if him and Finn Balor end up fighting soon. Our co-main event, if you will, of the evening was a WWE Women's Tag Team Championship match where Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill defeated the Kabuki Warriors to win the WWE Women's Tag Team Championship. The Kabuki Warriors team of Asuka and Kairi Sane, 17-minute, 25-second match. And yeah, Jade Cargill, she's so over. Her and Tiffany Stratton are definitely going to be the next faces of women's wrestling. Once Becky Lynch, once Charlotte, once Bayley are long gone. It's just great to see that they're over with the crowd. She's so jacked. She's wrestling AEW, Ring of Honor, stuff like that. And yeah, she's now the Women's Tag Team Champion with Bianca Belair, another great stud herself. And we'll see what they do with it. And it's kind of hard keeping the women's divisions interesting. So when they have two successful women's bouts on one card, it is great to see. It is great for business, if you will. But we get to the main event, and it did not disappoint. 27 minutes and 20 seconds of pure American amazing wrestling. It's not even American. I know I threw that in. But the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes, defended his WWE Championship against AJ Styles. And man, this was just some pure wrestling. The crowd was so into it. Like, they actually had to stop the announcing mid-thing because the France crowd was doing like some like, ole, 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 like a chant like that. It was so electric. And Cody Rhodes ended it with, I don't even know what it is, a super Cody cutter. It was a great finish. To the match. And man, absolutely amazing. It was like a Cody cutter off the very top rope, then hit him with a crossroads, and he retains. Cody Rhodes' first pay-per-view title defense of his undisputed WWE Championship. Yeah, he's legit. This was a small event. If you will. I'm aware it's like not the best, but the crowd is what was amazing. They had Raw and they had SmackDown afterwards, which was just as great as well. I love to see it. When these crowds are absolutely into it, because crowds is what actually makes WWE so good. The crowd pops, the moments. When you have a dead crowd, such as moments at WrestleMania 32, 33, 34, it just kills the vibe. So when the crowd's into it, such as moments like whenever Stone Cold Steve Austin comes out, whenever John Cena comes out, yeah, that's when the events are good. Backlash France, I didn't actually watch it live, but for all the highlights I saw, definitely going to be getting a solid 8 out of 10. Electric, exciting. And they gotta go more places. They gotta go to Germany for a pay-per-view. They gotta go all over. WWE is growing so much, and honestly, as just a casual fan, I used to be a hardcore, I'm kind of a casual. It is great to see. Something else that is great to see, and let me tell you about them, that is the Planet of the Apes trilogy. That is right. I mean, my favorite movies of all time are these 3 movies, and we have a new one coming out, man. It is so exciting. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes comes out soon. I am absolutely jonesing to see it. It is going to be so fun seeing it with the girlfriend tomorrow. I'm pumped. I don't know about anyone else, but I am pumped to see what new characters are going to introduce, stuff like that. I kind of just want to give my review of all 3 movies in the Planet of the Apes franchise. Technically it's 9 movies. They kind of include the old ones as part of this series, but we all kind of know that the Planet of the Apes saga, it kind of starts with this little trilogy we have here. Starting us off, Rise of the Planet of the Apes. Amazing movie. James Franco lead in the film. Very interesting move, having James Franco play a role like this. It is, and he is such an underrated actor, might I add. He is so underrated. I think everyone kind of sleeps on James Franco when it comes to his acting capabilities. He was amazing in this film, kind of playing like Caesar's handler, if you will. And Caesar, one of the greatest movie characters ever created. Andy Serkis doing the live motion capture has changed the game. He is one of my favorite actors of all time. Absolutely love this. This movie came out in 2011. It first started development in 2006. Finally got filming in 2010. And since then, absolutely amazing. The plot of this, the movie takes place in San Francisco. Got a little pharmaceutical chemist, if you will, that is James Franco, trying out this drug for Alzheimer's, testing it on chimps. Finally, they finally get through to a chimp called Bright Eyes. She dies, and they find her son. Her son ends up being Caesar, and, James Franco adopts him, takes him in, and his father names him Caesar after Julius Caesar, who was one of the favorite characters that he read in his books, because he had Alzheimer's. He still remembered who Julius Caesar was. 3 years pass since Caesar's born. He becomes super highly intelligent. He's communicating through sign language. Soon, James Franco's in a romantic relationship with Caroline Arahane. I don't even know what character she plays. I think Frida Pinto. Frida Pinto is her name. I think that's the character's name. The actress's name. They introduce Caesar to the Redwood Forest so he can roam freely. They're still walking him on a leash and stuff. And then 5 years later, Caesar's an adult. And he's still wearing like people's clothes because, he hangs out with James Franco and his dad, who is, who's his dad? John Lithgow. Amazing actor as well. And, it's interesting to see. It's interesting to see him growing up, and eventually, Caesar injures their neighbor. Who's kind of the villain. He's not really like the actual villain, but Douglas Hunsker, he's the villain character. He's just the annoying neighbor. And they have to bring him to an animal control service, and to an ape shelter, which is, I just find it funny, we just have an ape shelter in San Francisco. And it's there that Caesar is beginning to become who he is. He's tormented by the alpha chimp there, Rocket, and even the chief guard, Dodge Landon. He's like one of the characters. I can't remember what his name is, what the character's name is. Oh my goodness. He is, I've seen him before. It's Tom Felton. He was in something. He looks like Draco Malfoy, if I'm being honest. He's not actually Draco Malfoy, but that's kind of the character that he looks like. And as he's there, Caesar, he starts to kind of use his mind. He befriends a orangutan called Maurice, who was a former circus orangutan. He also knew sign language. And, Caesar's starting to learn to, kind of how to unlock his cage. He's walking around the common area. And with the assistance of Buck, who's a gorilla who he meets, Caesar claims the position of the alpha ape. He soon gets Rocket under his control. He gets all the apes under his control. And there's this crazy moment where Dodge Landon, who's like the Draco Malfoy, like the bad kid, the caretaker, if you will, of the apes, he goes to hit Caesar with a baton, or like what is it? What do they call that? Electrocution stick. And Caesar grabs it as he's about him and goes, "No!" And it's like the big moment he finally spoke, and it is a powerful moment. And from there, Caesar and all the apes escape, and they begin their conquest. begin to head out into the city to take over. And Caesar, he's breaking into the Gen X labs where all the whatever the Alzheimer drug is that turned him into apes and all the other apes around. He puts that over all of his apes that he was with at the ape shelter. Then they're going around to zoos and like giving it on to people, and all the apes are becoming smarter right after it enters their system. After that, a fellow doctor, actually this is kind of how the flu starts, what do they call it? The Sven's flu, the swine flu, whatever they call it. They found out that if it's exposed to humans, that he actually gets sick and you die. And I don't know what his name was, Charles or something. Franklin was his name. He becomes exposed to this drug and he becomes ill. And he goes to what's his face, James Franco's character's house to kind of warn him. And while he's there, the evil neighbor who like Caesar attacked because he was attacking his dad is there, and he accidentally sneezes on him. And you're kind of like don't think anything of it. You're like, oh, that's gross. He sneezes on him, but he sneezes blood onto him, and then later you find out that he's dead. He's dead. You find out the guy who was exposed to it was dead. And, we go back. James Franco is trying to reclaim Caesar, but Caesar decides to stay. He decides to stay, and him and all the other apes, they then go out, and they're fighting, and, the apes flee. They also release Koba. Koba becomes a very influential figure in this trilogy. He's kind of like this villainous ape, if you will, very menacing. They free him from the Gen X labs. They go to the San Francisco Zoo. They're freeing them. And then a battle ensues as the apes trying to fight their way across the Golden Gate Bridge to get to the Redwood Forest. To rescue Caesar, Buck sacrifices himself, the gorilla, to push down a helicopter. And then Jacobs, who's kind of like the head of Gen X Labs, he was kind of he did things to Koba, the ape. He's kind of hanging onto this helicopter off the bridge, and Koba walks over and pushes it into the San Francisco Bay. Very menacing moment. The third act of this film was absolutely phenomenal. The movie kind of starts off slow, picks up in the second half, finishes strong. Kind of like a plane. You got your takeoff is rough, it's bumpy, it's starting to get better, smooth landing. Finally, the apes find their way into the forest. James Franco unites with Caesar, and Caesar speaks into his ear, Caesar is home. It was a great moment. James Franco's character goes off. Great stuff. Caesar hugs him, says goodbye, and that with that, Will accepts that Caesar wishes to be with the other apes in the forest and goes on his way. But meanwhile, the one neighbor who got sneezed on, we find out is a pilot. He arrives at the San Francisco International Airport, and we've kind of seen this little graphic at the end as the virus begins to spread around the planet, leading to the deadly pandemic. Amazing. Just amazing. Scenery, incredible. I absolutely loved it. Absolutely love it. Rise of the Planet of the Apes, it gets an 8 out of 10 for me. Rise of the Planet of the Apes gets an 8 out of 10 for me. Amazing cast, amazing actors, actresses, and it kind of like, you didn't think anything of it. You're like, oh, it's a good movie. They should make a sequel one day. And little did we know that the sequel would be one of the greatest sequels of all freaking time. Absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. Let me just tell you, the sequel is so freaking good. 2014, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, directed by Matt Reeves. Matt Reeves trilogy, amazing actor. I'm interested to see the new movie because Matt Reeves did such a phenomenal job with this trilogy. I'm a little nervous to see what happens. Of course, the sequel is announced right after the success of the first movie. Starts filming in 2012. Andy Serkis is back. Finally gets published in June of 2014. Makes $710 million at the box office. I mean, come on. What more could you ask for? It actually had a budget of 170. So the fact that you're going from 170 million to 710 million, absolutely phenomenal. We go 10 years after the deadly simian flu pandemic. The worldwide human population has been drastically reduced. There's probably about 1 in 500 people who are immune. That's about 0.20% of the world population is still alive. Humans, they're destroyed after the societal collapse, and a large group of apes, they've gone from all over. They've all just congregated to Caesar, like all around the whole area. They've just come to Caesar. It's like he just had this power, just attract them all. And they're in a little colony, if you will, in the Muir Woods National Monument, kind of near San Francisco, kind of like a bit away from the Redwood Forest. And they're led by Caesar. And he's got lieutenants. He's got Maurice the orangutan, Rocket the one. Rocket is the Gosh, what is he? What is Rocket? He's just like a gray ape. You got Luca, who's a gorilla, and Koba, who's like the menacing ape. We'll hear more about him in a second. He's kind of the villain of this film. And then a group of humans led by Malcolm. Malcolm is played by, what's his actor's name? I think is it, oh my gosh, no one say it. No one say it. I'll think of his name. It's Lee Ross. It's got to be Lee Ross, right? Right? Is it Lee Ross? No, it's Scott. What's his freaking name? Jason Clarke. That's what he is. Jason Clarke, he was in Zero Dark 30, White House Down. Amazing actor. He was a great lead in this film. And a group of humans, they're led by Malcolm. They somehow enter the apes' territory without knowing it. And they run to Ash, who's Rocket's son, and, Blue Eyes, who is Caesar's son. By the way, his mother's name was Bright Eyes, son's name is Blue Eyes. Kind of fun little thing they did there. And Malcolm is able to escape, but one of the group members of Malcolm's group, Carver, actually shoots Rocket's son, and then Caesar shows up with all the other apes, and they're all just going at each other. And finally, Caesar says, "Go!" And everyone's like taken aback because he spoke, and you're like, oh my gosh, this is absolutely crazy. Everyone they want to go after, they just want to go after the humans, but Caesar says no, but finally they're convinced to just kind of show their display of strength and go up to him. And by the way, this movie starts off kind of like with this really dramatic opening of like how all the apes of like all of humanity is kind of like dissipated, if you will, from everything that's occurred. And it's a very powerful opening. I very much enjoyed it. And then this is one of the best openings to a film. After that little like graphic, they're putting clips together, you're showing the world's population, lights go out. You then open to all the apes in like war paint holding spears in the trees, and you show them hunting elk and deer. It was such a cool opening. And then one of the craziest jump scares, which it can't get me now because I'm looking forward to it, but in the theater, you have this moment where Ash's son is going up to this injured elk, and a bear comes out of like the brush out of nowhere and attacks him. Then Caesar comes in and attacks him. Koba comes, and just when the bear like jumped right through, it was such like everyone leapt back in their seats, and you're quite like, holy crap. And then I hadn't seen it for like another 3 years when I last watched it, and I forgot about it, and it caught me again, and I was like, you gotta be kidding me. But such a great opening. Fast forward into the film, Malcolm is talking to Dreyfus, who's the community's leader. Dreyfus is portrayed by Gary Oldman. How about that? Gary Oldman almost looks unrecognizable in this. He's a very skinny version of himself. Lost a lot of weight for this. Could kind of like show that they aren't getting a lot of food, if you will. And, they're kind of like, we need to go back to the forest because they're trying to get this dam open to get water to their village. And then Caesar shows up with just all of his apes. It is such a menacing scene. I've seen clips of it. It's like, what groups have those aura? It's like the picture of Caesar and his army. And you're like, yeah, they're legit. They look legit. It was a very cool scene they shot there. And the CGI, absolutely amazing. CGI is on a whole other level. I almost think I'm looking at actual apes when I'm watching this. They show their strength. Eventually, the humans go back into the forest. Malcolm goes there, and Caesar finally allows them to work on the generator. While they're working together, Malcolm, his wife Ellie, his son Alexander, they bond with the apes. This little family is bonding with the apes, Caesar and his family. And, their little truce slowly starts to fall apart when Carver, the loose cannon, is discovered to have kept a hidden gun in his lunchbox or his work box. And that just sends the apes overboard. But trust is restored when Ellie, Malcolm's wife, she was a doctor, she was a nurse, and she saved Caesar's wife, Cornelia, from a fever after giving birth to Caesar's younger son, Cornelius. And after that, the apes are very paranoid, and Dreyfus, the leader of their community, he arms them all with munitions. And Koba, who hates humans for torturing him as a laboratory test subject, discovers the armory, and he tells Caesar, he's like, look, they have all these guns. You care more about humans than apes. And Caesar and him fight, and Caesar just almost beats him to death, but he refrains from killing him, and he says the phrase, apes don't kill apes. Or what is it? It's like ape no kill ape or something like that. And that was kind of just what Caesar was doing, it was kind of just showing his character and how he was. And then Koba, he later goes to the armory and he kills these two guards in this menacing scene, returns home, he kills Carver. And after that, one of the craziest moments, the humans, they had repaired the generator, all the apes were celebrating. And as Caesar's up on like this ledge in a tree, Koba gets a gun and shoots and kills Caesar. I kid you not, when I saw him shoot Caesar and Caesar fell, I legit thought Caesar had died. I missed what I kind of thought the characters actually died in films, but this was one of the good ones where you're like, holy cow, Caesar actually just died. Because at this point, we didn't really think Caesar was like the guy. We thought Caesar was just like a main character in this film, but it wasn't until after this moment we learned Caesar was him, H-I-M. And Koba, he takes over everyone. He says that the humans killed Caesar, and he takes everyone to war. And as he takes command, he leads the ape army to San Francisco, where the giant base is, where Dreyfus is, and they plunder the armory and they mount a full-scale assault on the humans. And despite taking heavy casualties, they took so many casualties, the apes breached the building and they imprisoned the humans, and Dreyfus fled underground with a couple of his men. And Koba kills Rocket's son's Ash for refusing to kill an unarmed human, throws him off a balcony, and he imprisons all the other apes loyal to Caesar, such as Rocket, Maurice, and Luca. It is so intense. But Blue Eyes is still out, Caesar's oldest son, and he kind of has Koba thinking he's with him, but in reality, he runs into Malcolm's family, and Malcolm's like, guess what? We found Caesar. Because when they fled the apes' giant colony, after Caesar had been killed and Koba burned the village, they found Caesar and they transported him to his former house in San Francisco, and they're able to sneak back to find medical supplies, and that was when Malcolm ran into Blue Eyes, and he brought him to his dad. And it's a great moment because Blue Eyes learn that Caesar's alive, and Caesar's like, these are good humans, and eventually he learns that it was Koba who shot Caesar, and Blue Eyes is just so infuriated, and eventually they return to the community and free the imprisoned humans and apes, and all the apes gather with Caesar. And after they escort the apes into the tower, this giant tower, which they're trying to blow up, Malcolm ran into Dreyfus. He was like, guess what? Because all the apes are kind of in the compound. It's their new big base now. And he kind of Caesar's like, you know what? I have to find Koba. But Malcolm finds Dreyfus, who found out they rigged the entire base of the tower with C4. And he reveals that his men made radio contact with a military base, so you'll find out soon. And Malcolm hopes that, and Dreyfus is like, they're coming to kill all the apes. But guess what? Malcolm holds Dreyfus's men at gunpoint to give Caesar enough time to retake command and confront Koba at the top of the tower. And in an attempt to kill all the apes, Dreyfus suicides and detonates the explosives to destabilize the building, killing himself. But guess what? Malcolm's able to escape, find his family, and Caesar goes to the top of the tower, and him and Koba engage in one of the best third act fight scenes I've ever seen. It's so intense. It's so good. And in one of the greatest cinematic moments, in my personal opinion, obviously it's my personal opinion, Koba is hanging off the ledge, just about defeated, puts out his hand again, just like he did before when Caesar beat him, and said, ape, no kill ape. And Caesar goes, you are no ape, and kicks his hand off, and Koba falls to his death. Such a good moment. Malcolm shows up, warns Caesar of the approaching human military, and he believes that the humans will never forgive the apes for their attack, but Caesar persuades him to evacuate with his family for safety before the fighting begins. And after that, you see Caesar look back one last time at where Malcolm went, because, James Franco, Malcolm in this film, those were his humans. Those were two great men that Caesar knew. And Caesar turns toward his apes and addresses them as they prepare for the upcoming war. It is so menacing, and you realize that Caesar is this military general badass. He is so dope. Absolutely love him. And what more do you want? It is, oh man, so good. Just so good. Dawn of Planet of the Apes, it gets a 9.5 out of 10. And a lot of people consider it the best in the trilogy. And honestly, I don't even blame you. I don't even freaking blame you if you think it's the best in the series. It is so good. It is just amazing. It is a 10 out of 10. It is a beautifulness. It is Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. But that's not the end of the trilogy. No. That was only the second movie in the trilogy. The third movie, the final installment of the Planet of the Apes original trilogy. I mean, obviously this franchise is going to go on, but it's kind of like Star Wars. Obviously there's 9 movies, but they all have their little trilogies. This is the end of the first trilogy, or however movies are going to make War for the Planet of the Apes. And let me tell you, this movie is my favorite. 10 out of 10. I have an emotional connection to War for the Planet of the Apes. Caesar is just mon ami. He is absolutely amazing. Movie came out in 2017. Absolutely phenomenal. Budget was about 150. Only made 490.7 million. But it's because, it was kind of a different vibe than the other two films, if I'm being honest. But still amazing. Nonetheless, is my personal favorite. 2 years following that first battle in San Francisco, the Alpha Omega human militia, as they're called, they're actually aided by the rogue apes called donkeys, including a gorilla named Red Donkey. They search for Caesar's ape colony, And eventually the colony finds them, and they attack them, and you eventually see Caesar in this film, and he is so menacing. He now is an ape army. They are at war. But Caesar, he releases some human survivors as a peacekeeping gesture. And, Caesar's oldest son, Blue Eyes, and Rocket's son, they return, or no, Rocket, not his son, passed away, unfortunately. They return from a scouting expedition to report that they have found an oasis which could serve as a safe home. But unfortunately, there was this ape called Winter, who was like this white gorilla, deflected and gave away the position of Caesar's colony, if you will. And this colonel, who is played absolutely amazingly by what's his name, Woody Harrelson, absolutely phenomenal in this, comes back, and he, in one of the craziest opening sequences, not even like a full opening, because the full opening was like this little shootout battle, but just about like in the right before this, actually probably like the actual beginning of the movie begins. I don't even know how to put it. Caesar's son, Blue Eyes, and wife, what's her name? What is her name? Cornelia die. The colonel kills them, mistaking them for Caesar. And Cornelius, Caesar's younger son, who's still a baby ape, manages to survive the attack. And it is just one of the most jaw-dropping scenes. I remember watching in the theater, and I was really like, are you serious? Are you kidding me right now? This is absolutely crazy. And after that, Caesar decides he has to leave. He has to go to war and find this colonel, hunt him down, and kill him. He eventually learns that the colonel is heading north. So him, Rocket, who's one of the OG guys, Maurice, one of the OGs, Luca from last movie, they decide to serve as decoys while the tribe journeys to the oasis. And Caesar kills a militiaman in self-defense and finds his mute daughter, whom Maurice befriends. And eventually she tags along with them. The apes soon discover several dead soldiers who had been executed by their own troops. And they find out that the soldiers are mute. It is a very interesting thing. No one could even know what to make of it. Caesar, his little group, they chase someone who stole one of their horses and discover the thief is another intelligent ape called Bad Ape, who managed to mature while being isolated. So whatever this virus was, he was able to become smart from it, even though he never came into contact with anyone. And he's able to guide the group to a former weapons depot turned quarantine facility in the mountains that serves as the militia's head base where the colonel is. A human patrol kills Lucas, sadly, which is a sad moment as Caesar's friend dies, and then Caesar is captured as his other friends went off. And Caesar soon discovers that his whole tribe had been captured and is being forced to build a wall around the weapons depot. And Caesar deduces that the militia is barricading the facility to fend off other human forces. Throughout this whole movie, throughout the whole second act, if you will, majority of the third, Caesar's talking with the Colonel, Woody Harrelson's character, and just finding out more about him, and they're more alike than you think. They both lost stuff. They both want what's best for their people. And eventually the Colonel reveals that the simian flu has mutated and is causing infected humans to mentally de-evolve into primitive animals, sort of how apes were. Apes were primitive. They became smart. Humans were smart, are now becoming primitive. And he ordered his own troops to kill any carriers of this mutated virus, including his own son. This led to a conflict with his superiors, who are still searching for a cure, and Caesar is then tortured, and he's kept starving to force the tribe to work. And you just see how good of a leader Caesar is, always standing up, never wanting to back down. He is absolutely amazing. And as Caesar is being starved, the mute girl Nova, who she is now named, who Maurice found, is able to sneak into the facility and feed Caesar. And then Rocket sneaks in to prevent Noah from being seen. And then Caesar is able to help work with him to formulate a plot to escape. The Colonel confiscates the doll that Nova left for Caesar, but the other apes escape via an underground tunnel. Absolutely crazy moments here. And it's just so dark to see how much Caesar was able to withstand, endure, and then eventually the hostile military force arrives just randomly. They did it so well in the movie, just like out of nowhere. They arrived as all the apes are slowly escaping, and eventually all the humans are going to have to go to war. Caesar is able to escape captivity and escape his capture. He sneaks into the Colonel's cabin to kill him, but he now finds that he is mute, as the Colonel has succumbed to the side effects of the mutated virus after handling Nova's doll. Because Nova, she's mute, she's this little girl, she has the virus. So it's pretty interesting, that's how that happened. Caesar then allows the colonel to shoot himself in the head. He literally, Caesar was about to kill him, and then he places the gun in the colonel's hands, and the colonel shoots his own brains out. And the escaping apes are then caught in the crossfire between the militia and the military from the north. And then Caesar attempts to destroy a fuel tank to take out the militia from behind, but he is critically shot by Preacher, one of the militiamen he set free. And then Red Donkey, who had been kind of like one of the ape deflectors, he was this gorilla, in a moment to, give Caesar time, kills the man who's about to shoot him, and then Red Donkey gets killed right in front of Caesar's eyes. And Caesar blows up the fuel tank, escapes the facility, causing an avalanche which wipes out all of the humans. Caesar, Nova, the apes, they escape. They scale the trees to escape the avalanche, and there's no human left. There's no humans left besides Nova. And after that, the apes resume their journey to their oasis. They come to this great green pasture with this lake. Is absolutely amazing. And as they arrive, Maurice soon discovers that Caesar's wound is critical. And he promises that Cornelius' son will know who his father is and was, and what he dibs for his apes. And then I'm actually getting emotional talking about it now. It is one of the greatest endings. I mean, Caesar was Moses. This whole story was Moses taking his people out of Egypt, out of the suffering of Pharaoh, bringing them to the promised land. But Moses, he was never able to enter the promised land. Learning some historical records from the Bible, if you will. And Caesar, proudly looking out over everyone, passes away next to Maurice, the first friend he made in the first movie, the man who he helped get through everything with, and he peacefully falls away. And everyone looks back as Maurice sheds a tear. Absolutely amazing. Absolute cinema. Cinema 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10, I kid you not. I don't care what anyone says. This is a 10 out of 10 movie for me. 10 out of 10 franchise, if you will. And it's just phenomenal. It is just phenomenal. Planet of the Apes, just the rise of them, the dawn of them, and the war for them. And now we get the kingdom. Now we get the kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. It's set 300 years after. I'm so pumped to see it. I can't wait to give my review next week on next week's episodes. It is phenomenal. Caesar is up there. He's up there with me for my favorite characters. You got him, you got Optimus Prime, you got Peter Quill, you got, I don't even know, James Bond. I have no idea. A bunch of characters, but Caesar's my favorite. Andy Serkis and his motion capture is phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. Actually, he's making a Gollum movie, but Planet of the Apes, my favorite trilogy. I'm excited to see where this franchise goes. And who knows, maybe when I'm old, they'll make some reboots of these movies. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, let's get to the climax of our episode, if you will, as we're going to be previewing, dropping our predictions for UFC St. Louis. That's right, we get a little carded pay-per-view this upcoming weekend. How exciting. How exciting. I absolutely love that we get ourselves a little fight night in front of a crowd. So, what do we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 fights. 12 fights, and if all goes good, none will be canceled. I think already one has from the weigh-ins because someone missed, but let's check it out. Let's shop our predictions and see who we have winning all of the matchups. Kicking off our little St. Louis, Missouri card, we head to the women's flyweight division as J.J. Aldridge takes on Veronica Hardy. Very fun matchup to get the card kicked off. Am I right? Am I right, guys? It screams Apex card. My goodness. J.J. Aldridge, 13-6 professionally. Veronica Hardy, 8-4-1. 5'5" to 5'4" gives J.J. Aldridge just a slight bit in height. And reach-wise, she's got 67 inches to 64. So 3 inches in reach for J.J. Aldridge. Not too bad. Both women stand in the southpaw stance. J.J. Aldridge coming in at, she's 31 from Aurora, Colorado. Of her 13 victories, has 3 KOs. Of her 6 losses, 3 of those she's been finished. She does have a Taekwondo background, is on a little 2-fight win streak in the UFC. She's been in the UFC since 2016. I mean, she's fought Macy Barber. She's fought Jillian Robertson, Erin Blanchfield. But her last 2 wins kind of over some lesser competition. Last got a win over Montana De La Rosa by decision in October, so nothing too impressive. I think I'm more impressed with her opponent, Veronica Hardy. Veronica, 28 years old, from Venezuela, now actually lives and trains in England. Of her 8 victories, 1 KO and 2 submissions. 2-fight win streak for her as well. Picked up a win in December over Jamie Lynn Horth. Before that, beat Juliana Miller. Her as well. She's been in the UFC since 2016. Fought in a couple of killers. Nothing much to really go into here. Veronica Hardy, I do favor a bit more. I just think when it comes to ceilings in the UFC, she's got a higher ceiling. This is going to be a decision. This is going to be a decision. If this is a finish, I'll be fairly surprised, but I am going to pick Veronica Hardy to get this one done. I don't really know. Just from what I've seen personally from watching these two women fight, I do ride more with Veronica Hardy. Plus, JJ Aldrich she falls in there with someone like Haley Cohen, someone like, oh my gosh, I'm thinking of someone. There's some other like JJ fighter, and she's just like so mediocre, but no hate to either of these women. I am picking Veronica Hardy, though. The next fight we were supposed to have was a matchup between Jared Gooden and Kevin Giuseppe, but Jared Gooden had to pull out for some reason. I don't know if he had a bad weight cut, he got injured or something, but that fight fell through, so no mas for Jared Gooden and Kevin Giuseppe. So our second fight of the evening, second fight of the prelims, will be a flyweight matchup between Charles Energy Johnson and Jake White Kong Hadley. I don't know if King Kong is white, if I'm being honest. I think he is an ape, my friend Jake. Charles Energy Johnson, 14-6. Jake Hadley, 10-2. 5'9" to 5'7" gives Charles 2 inches in height. Both men, 70-inch reach. Switch stance for Charles. Southpaw for Jake Hadley. I'll be interested to see how this one goes down. Let's kick it off with a little Jake Hadley action. Jake Hadley, I remember watching him on Dana White's Contender Series back in 2021. He got a submission, but had some backstage issues, and Dana White gave him a chance in the UFC, and he just lost a bad decision to start off against Al Nascimento, but picked up wins in November of 2022 and March of 2023, both finishes, but last fought in August and lost a unanimous decision to Cody Durden, got out-grappled. Jake Hadley, 27 years old, from England. Of his 10 victories, 3 KOs and 5 submissions. So, does have an 80% finish rate. That's not too bad. However, if grappling's not your specialty, then you might have some issues with Charles Johnson, who's also hit or miss in the grappling department. This is great matchmaking, might I add. Charles Energy Johnson, 33 years old, from St. Louis, Missouri. 5 KOs, 4 submissions of his 14 wins, and he's coming off a fight of the night win over Azat Maksum. He beat the undefeated Azat Maksum after losing round 1, almost got knocked out, came back, won the final 2 rounds, snapped a 3-fight losing streak. I absolutely love to see it. We're riding with our Missouri boy tonight. Give me Charles Energy Johnson. He's coming off of so much momentum. Getting that win over Azat Maksum. He grinded for it. Finally gets the fight in front of his hometown in St. Louis, Missouri. I don't think he's blowing it. He's got a little height, too. He can grapple. Jake Hadley, both of these guys, they've either gotten brutally grappled or brutally out-grappled or brutally grappled someone to a win. So it's very hit or miss, very interesting. But you know what? We're going to ride with Charles Johnson. I didn't pick him over Azat, and I kind of wish I had because he cashed as a huge underdog. But yes, we will ride with the energy in front of his hometown. So good luck to him. After that, we move up and wait to the welterweight division as Billy Ray Goff takes on Trey the Truth Waters. Billy Ray Goff, his name was Billy Goff. Where'd this Ray come from? Billy Ray Goff, BRG, if you will, 9-2. Trey the Truth Waters, 8-1. 6'5" to 5'10" gives Trey 7 inches in height. Oh my goodness, 5 inches in reach, 77 to 72. Orthodox stands with that right hand for Trey. Switch stands with Billy Ray Goff. Oh my gosh, Trey the Truth Waters, 6'5". 29 years old, from Florida. Of his 8 victories, 3 KOs and 3 submissions. Currently on a little 2-fight win streak. Last fought in the UFC in April of 2023, getting a unanimous decision win over Josh Quinlan. Yeah, we're definitely riding with Trey size-wise. Billy Ray Goff, his opponent is 25 years old, from Connecticut. Of his 9 victories, 7 KOs. And he's actually on a 7-fight win streak. Last fought in August, got a round 1 knockout of Kusaku Kinoshita. But yeah, you do not have the freaking abilities of Trey Waters. He has such good height, such good, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, we're definitely riding with Trey Waters. Plus, Florida, there's a lot of Florida fighters on this card. I feel like they're going to have themselves a good little night. We didn't even say how Charles Johnson versus Jake Hadley would end. I'm going to say a decision in that one. As for this one, give me a round 1 KO for Trey Waters. I think Trey's got to bring the pressure, hit him with some stuff. He's got the size. The size on this is crazy. 6'5" to 5'10", 7 inches. My goodness, I got something else for you that's 7 inches. I'm sorry, viewers. I'm sorry if that was too explicit for you. I just had to sneak it in there. I'm a young man. What can I say? We make bad jokes. What can we do? After that, we head to the women's strawweight division, and we might have some ranked women. I actually don't think they're ranked anymore. Wow, neither of these women are ranked. Or actually, no, they are. Number 11 ranked Tabitha Ritchie takes on Tisha Rennington? Whoa, Tisha Pennington? What? Who is Tisha Pennington? Oh, Tisha Torres. She married Haquel Pennington. She's now Tisha Pennington. Why are these women getting married and changing their last names? I get all confused when I read this. But Tabitha Ritchie, Baby Shark. Tabitha Baby Shark Ritchie. What a nickname. 9-2. Tisha Pennington, 13-6. Both women are 5'1", 61 inches to 60 inches in reach. 1 inch for Tabitha. Both women are orthodox. I mean, they are as similar as it comes, if you're asking me. Let's start off with the number 11 ranked woman strawweight, Tabitha Ritchie. Tabitha, unfortunately, had a 4-fight winning streak snapped last November when she lost a split decision to Lupi Godinez. That was tough to see, but I mean, Tabitha Ritchie, 29 years old, from Brazil, now actually lives and trains in California. Of her 9 victories, 1 KO, and 3 submissions. Probably her biggest win in the UFC was over Jillian Robertson back in June, beat her by unanimous decision. Even actually submitted Jessica Penne last March. So, her only losses in the UFC are to Manny Fiora and Lupi Godinez. Those are 2 of the top fighters in their respective weight classes. So I don't think that's too bad. As for Tisha Torres, who's now Tisha Pennington, she hasn't fought since April 2022. When she lost a split decision to Mackenzie Dern. She's 34 years old, from Florida. Of her 13 victories, has 1 KO and 1 sub. Now, of her 6 losses, never been finished. All of those losses in the UFC, all to killers. Rose Namajunas, Zhang Weili, Marina Rodriguez, Joanna Jędrzejczyk, Jessica Andrade. But she hasn't fought in so long. I think that's going to play an impact for sure. Both are coming off of split decisions. This is great matchmaking, but give me Tabitha Ritchie. And we're going to say by decision. I'm thinking we get a lot of decisions to open up this night. Only 1 finish in that Billy Ray Goff and Trey Waters fight. But after that, I think we start getting the ball rolling. Because next up, the best prelim on the card. This fight should be on the main card, in my opinion. Lightweight matchup between Terrence T-Rex McKinney and Esteban El Gringo Ribovics. Yeah, this is going to be gas. This is going to be amazing. Terrence McKinney, 15-6. Esteban Ribovics, 12-1. Both men are 5'10", 4 inches in reach for Terrence McKinney, 73 inches to 69. A switch stance for Terrence, orthodox for Esteban. Excited to see this one. Terrence McKinney, 21 professional bouts, has never gone the distance. He's gotten 15 finishes. He's been finished 6 times. 29 years old, from Illinois. 7 KOs and 8 subs make up those 15 finishes. As for those losses, he's been knocked out. He's been submitted. He's been through it all. Good for him, though, on a little 2-fight win streak. Wins in August and October, both by round 1 TKO. And following that, he had been finished in round 2. In back-to-back fights in 2023. So he's had some crazy fights. His only losses are to Ishmael Bonfim, Drew Dober, Sean Woodson, Nazim Sadikov. So his losses are to legit guys. And by the way, Mike Breeden, Brendan Moreau, doing exactly what he needed to against those guys. Brutally finishing them. Terrence McKinney, he's exciting. He's fun. And this is a guy who debuted with a 7-second KO of Matt Frivola. He's so fun. He's a great personality. Cannot wait to see him fight. His opponent, Esteban Ribovics, 28 years old, from Argentina. Of his 12 victories, 6 KOs and 5 subs. Only fight he hasn't gone the distance in is 2 UFC fights, actually. Lost to Loic Radzaboev in his debut, and his last win in July, he beat Kamala Kirk by unanimous decision. I'm sorry, Esteban. I don't know anything about you. All I know is Terrence McKinney is going to run through you and TKO you in round number 1. Give me that round 1 KO for Terrence McKinney. He's so fun. He's so fresh, and he's young. 29 years old, 21 bouts, has never gone the distance. 15 wins, too. Not too shabby. With that, ladies and gentlemen, we get into our final matchup of the night as we head to the men's lightweight division. We get into our final prelim, I should say, not matchup, final prelim of the night, as Chase the Dream Hooper takes on Vyacheslav Slavaklaus Borshev. Love the nickname Vyacheslav. Love it. Chase Hooper, 13-3-1. Vyacheslav Borshev, 7-3-1. 6'1" to 5'11" does give Chase 2 inches in height, and he has 5 inches in reach, 74 inches to 69. Southpaw stance for Chase, orthodox for Vyacheslav Borshev. Let's start off with Chase Hooper, the young gun. I mean, he debuted in the UFC when he was like 19 or 18. It was absolutely crazy. I think he was 18 when he fought on the Contender Series. Chase is 24 years old, from Washington. Of his 13 victories, he has 4 KOs and 6 subs, so 10 of 13 wins are by finish. Not too bad. Currently on a little 2-fight winning streak since moving up from featherweight to lightweight, including the biggest win maybe of his career over Jordan Leavitt, submitting him in round 1 back in November. Very impressive. And he had been dealing with some trouble striking-wise. Alex Caceres, Steven Peterson, Steve Garcia, they had all beat him up so badly at featherweight. He was kind of like, you know what, I've had enough. I'm going up to lightweight. We'll see how it goes. And it's treated him kindly. He's been doing pretty good. Mind you, he's 24 years old now, has learned a lot since when he was 18. Excited to see what he does next, especially in this one. And he's a grappler, by the way. He's a grappler. He's a submission man. That's what he's hunting for. And he's taking on a striker. So this is a clash of styles through and through. Vyacheslav Borshev, 32 years old, from Russia. Of his 7 victories, 6 KOs. You know what? He started off his career great. Round 2 knockout in Contender Series, a round 1 knockout in his debut. Then in back-to-back fights, got taken down a total of 20 times combined, 9 in one, 11 in the other, and just had no grappling. After that, in May of last year, had a great win over Mahashot, dropped him 3 times. And then against Nazim Sadikov, had a fight of the night in November at UFC 295. He was just throwing for the fences. He was getting dropped. He was getting taken down. Then he was getting up, throwing him back at Nazim Sadikov. It was an amazing fight, which means I think this is going to be an amazing fight. But it's tough to pick. Because Chase Hooper, I think, does not have as good a hands as Vyacheslav Borshev. But when it comes to grappling, Vyacheslav has a clear issue. And I think Chase Hooper is going to be able to exploit that. I think he's going to be able to get him down. So we are going to ride with Chase Hooper to move to 3-0 at what freaking weight class are we in? We're at lightweight. And I even think he's going to get in a little round 2 submission over Vyacheslav Borshev. I think Chase Hooper has found what he needs to do. Take the back, avoid getting hit, and he'll get the win. And just like that, we'll be moving on to the main card. Exciting stuff. I love to see it. With that, ladies and gentlemen, we get into the main card and we kick it off a little heavyweight action as Waldo Salsa Boy Cortez Acosta takes on Robelis, the big boy, Despaigne, and there's going to be a heater. This is going to be a heater to get the card kicked off. Waldo, 11-1 professionally. Robelis, 5-0. 6'4" to 6'7". Robelis, tallest heavyweight in the UFC. By the way, also has the biggest reach in the UFC, 84 inches to Waldo Cortez Acosta, 78. I mean, Waldo's a big boy, and Robelis is a bigger. Orthodox stance for both of these giants. Let's kick it off with Waldo, Salsa Boy. All right, this will be his 6th UFC fight. He's 4-1 currently, not too bad. 1 finish with that. 32-year-old is from the Dominican Republic, and of his 11 victories, 5 KOs. Had 1 sub as well. Currently on a little 2-fight win streak, was able to beat Andrei Arlovsky back in January. I have no idea how. It was a boring fight. Nothing happened. But before that, in August, he had TKO'd Lucas Brzezic. That's pretty good. Only professional losses to Marcos Rodrigo de Lima. That's not too bad. I'll be excited to see what he brings to this one, but I'll tell you, it won't be much. It won't be much as he takes on the absolute killer, the big boy, Robelis Despaigne, 35 years old, from Cuba, 5 wins, 5 KOs. Mind you, let me tell you how long all these fights have lasted. All right, first fight, 4 minutes and 54 seconds. Second fight, all right, 4 seconds. Third fight, 3 seconds. His 4th fight, 9 seconds. His UFC debut, 18 seconds. He knocked out Josh Parson. This guy's a killer. I know people are saying Waldo is much better than everyone else he's fought, which is true, which is so true. You all are correct. You're all correct in that statement, but Waldo's going to get absolutely ran through. Give me Robelis, round 1 knockout. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Let me tell you that. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And he's going to run through Waldo like he's ran through everyone else, and I'm going to be a happy camper. Robelis Despaigne, I love it. You're a giant, 6'7", 84-inch reach. He's from Cuba, man. I don't know what they pump into these boys, but him and Yoel Romero, man, they would make an excellent tag team. I think they would destroy anyone they took on if they were in the WWE, but that's for another day. That's for another story. Robelis Despaigne is going to get us started off with a banger of a fight. After that, we head to the men's featherweight division. Yes, as Alex Bruce Leroy Caceres takes on Sean the Sniper Woodson. Very interesting nicknames on both of these gentlemen. Alex Caceres, 21-14 professionally. Sean Woodson, 11-1. 6'2" to 5'10" gives Sean 4 inches in height. 78 inches and 73 gives Sean 5 inches in reach. Southpaw stands for Alex, orthodox for Sean Woodson. Fun stuff. We'll start with Alex Caceres. Always been ranked, always been in the mix at featherweight, but never has really gotten to the top, if you ask me. 35 years old, from Miami, has 4 KOs and 7 subs of his victories. Now, of his 14 losses, 7 are by submission, so he does have a weakness in the submission department, but he hasn't been finished since 2019, okay? As of late, lost to Giga Chikadze in Singapore, did beat Daniel Pineda in a fight of the night in June, did beat Julian Erosa in December of 2022. You know, his only losses have been to some really high-talented people in the last few years. But, I mean, he just didn't really give us much to offer in that Giga Chikadze fight. Kind of just got outboxed, and if you're taking on someone who has length and reach like Sean Woodson does, you're probably going to get boxed up again. Sean Woodson, 31 years old, from St. Louis, Missouri. He's a hometown boy of his 11 wins, 3 KOs, 1 sub. Currently on a little 5-fight unbeaten streak, 2 wins, a draw, then 2 wins, if you want to put it like that. His only career loss is to Julian Erosa in 2020. He got submitted in a fight he was winning, so there's that. But he's coming off a huge win over Charles Jourdain, so I am excited to see how he performs in this one. You know, it's a split decision. He did outstrike Charles, and I'll be interested to see how it goes. But I am going with Sean Woodson. You know, we're riding with the St. Louis boy. I think he gets it done. I just think this fight plays into his favor, especially with the styles they both fight. This is going to be a decision. I don't know if it'll be entertaining. Hopefully it's a finish. I don't want to see these guys fight too long. But interesting stuff. Interesting stuff. We'll see what happens. After that, ladies and gentlemen, we head to the men's lightweight division for an absolute banger of a matchup as Diego Ferreira takes on Matus Rebecca. Diego Ferreira, 18-5 professionally. Matus, 19-1, 5'9" to 5'7", gives Diego 2 inches in height, and he has an insane 8 inches in reach, 74 inches to 66, orthodox stance to southpaw for Diego Ferreira compared to Matus Rebecca. Let's start with Diego Ferreira, another guy always been in the mix at men's lightweight. This guy's been around a long time. Been in the UFC since 2014. The 39-year-old is from Brazil but now lives and trains in Texas. Of his 18 wins, 4 KOs, and 7 subs. Of his 5 losses, 3 of those he's been KO'd in, though, so that's kind of unfortunate if you ask me. Diego, I mean, he's fought Beneil Dariush, Dustin Poirier, Gregor Giuseppe, Matus Gamrot, returned after a 2-year layoff to take on Michael Johnson last May, and he knocked him out cold in round 2. The power was still there. It was exciting to see, and Diego Ferreira is now back in action. Look, this guy usually likes to grapple from what it looks like, but you know, we do know that he can strike, and he's been out-grappled before, so it's always hit or miss. He's been finished. He's gotten finishes. Excited to see what Diego Ferreira brings to this one, but it will not be easy as he takes on the 31-year-old from Poland who's on a 16-fight win streak. I kid you not. Matus Rebecca, 9 KOs and 7 subs of his 19 wins. 16 of his 19 wins are by finish. Incredible. 3-0 in the UFC. Currently on a little 2-fight finish streak. I mean, got wins over Roosevelt Roberts last November, submitted him in 3 minutes, got a win over Loic Radzhabov in June, knocked him out in round 2. Matus Rebecca is a killer, and I think it's going to translate into this one. Matus Rebecca, I mean, even though he's at a disadvantage when it comes to however you want to put it, you know, reach by 8 inches, I think it's going to translate to a round 1 submission. I'm honestly, all my finishes have been in round 1 from what I'm looking at. We got round 2 some in there, but Matus Rebecca, 16-fight win streak. Diego Ferreira, he is 39 years old. There's an 8-year age gap that will play. We'll see whose favor that plays into, honestly. Sometimes the veterans got it, and sometimes the young up-and-comers show you how it's done. We'll see what occurs. Third to last fight of the evening as Alonzo Menefield takes on Carl Zuberg in the men's light heavyweight division. Alonzo Menefield ranked number 11. This is going to be one of the better fights of the evening. Any other night, it could be a co-main event or even an Apex main event. Alonzo Atomic Menefield is 15-3-1. Carlos Blackjag Uberg 10-1. 6'4" to 6 foot gives Carlos 4 inches in height, and he has 1 inch in reach. 77 inches, 76. Both men are in the orthodox stance, so they match up pretty well against each other. Let's kick it off with the Atomic Alonzo Menefield, currently ranked number 11 on a little 5-fight unbeaten streak. The 36-year-old is from Texas, and of his 15 wins, has 9 KOs and 4 submissions. 13 of 15 wins by finish is not too bad. as of late, I mean, this guy came in 2017 off of the Contender Series, got wins over Paul Craig, but then was losing to Devin Clark and Owen St. Preux. Kind of went through a little rough patch, but since June of 2022 has had the medicine. Knocked out Askar Mosharov in round 1, knocked off Misha Sergenov in round 1, had a close draw against Jimmy Crute, then submitted him in the rematch. And last December, dominated Dustin Jacoby, knocked him out almost. It was impressive. I'm loving him, and he just got added to EA Sports UFC 5. Alonzo Menifield, a fun fighter. But there is one thing. He's taken on an even better knockout artist, and that is Carlos Blackjack Ulberg, the 33-year-old from New Zealand. Of his 10 victories, 6 KOs and 1 sub, and he just found the magic in those hands, might I tell you. Wins on Dana White's Contender Series in 2020, comes in 2021, almost knocks out Kenny and Chukani in round 1. Unfortunately, gets rocked out in round 2 in one of the craziest 2-round fight of the night you'll ever see. After that, got back on the win track with a win over Fabio Charant, and since then has yet to stall. 5 straight wins and 4 straight finishes. Knocks out Tafan and Chukani in round 1. Knocks out Nicola Negumara in round 1. Knocks out Io Portera in round 1. And submitted Da Woon Jung with 11 seconds left last September. Carlos Ulberg is a killer. I know Alonzo Menifield is good. This is a toss-up for me, but I am riding with what I know best. And what I know best is that Carlos Ulberg is an absolute killer. Give me a round 1 knockout for Carlos Ulberg. I just think the hands are going to be flying. Alonzo Menifield's going to be caught off guard, and Carlos is going to deal some damage, which is what we're here to see. We're here to see some damage. We're here to see some violence at UFC St. Louis, because St. Louis is kind of a dangerous town. I mean, don't be fooled by the arch. It is nasty business at times. Nasty business. After that, ladies and gentlemen, we get into the people's main event, the co-main event, which honestly should be the main event. That's just how much more excited people are for it than the main event. Even Alonzo Menifield versus Carlos Ulberg would have been a better main event, if you ask me. But our co-main event, we head to the men's welterweight division as Joaquin Buckley takes on Nursultan Ruzaboyev. Oh man, I'm getting chills. I'm getting chills as we speak. This is going to be electric. Joaquin Numansa Buckley takes on Nursultan Black Ruzaboyev. His nickname's just Black. He's just black. He brings the darkness. Joaquin Buckley, 18-6. Nursultan Ruzaboyev, 34-8 with 2 draws and 2 no contests. Incredible. At 30 years old, this man has 46 professional bouts. Come on. 6'5" to 5'10" gives Nursultan 7 inches in height. Yet both men have a 76-inch reach. Pretty fascinating. Southpaw stance with that left hand for Joaquin. Orthodox with the right for the black Nursultan Ruzaboyev. Who do we start with? Do we start with Numansa? Do we start with the newly ranked welterweight contender, Joaquin Buckley? Yes, we do. Ranked number 11, Joaquin Buckley, 30 years old, is from St. Louis, Missouri. Of his 18 wins, he's gotten 13 KOs. Very impressive, Joaquin. Very impressive. Originally was fighting at middleweight for the longest amount of time. Finally dropped down to welterweight. It's worked out well for him. Knocked out of Andre Fiallo last May. Took Alex Morono to a decision. And just in March 30th actually, TKO'd Vicente Luque. I mean, got around to TKO there. Amazing work. Joaquin Buckley now gets a co-main event slot. He called for it at the UFC 300 press conference. Dana White was like, you know what? You're not getting the main event, but I'll give you the co-main event. We love to see it. Joaquin, action-packed as it gets. I mean, he has one of the craziest KOs of all time against Impa Kansagana. Great finishes against Jordan Wright, Antonio Rowe, Albert Durov. And then he also has some unfortunate losses. Kevin Holland's put him out cold. Alessio De Chirco's put him out cold. Nazanimov has utterly destroyed him. Chris Curtis has put him out cold. But you know what? Those were the middleweight days. He's now at welterweight, and he's looking to turn the tide. But speaking of former middleweights, we look at a man who had fought in middleweight in his first 2 UFC appearances, but now drops down to welterweight to take on Joaquin Buckley. That's right. It is the 30-year-old from Uzbekistan with 32 finishes and 34 wins, 12 KOs, 20 subs, who's on a 10-fight win streak, Nursultan Black Ruzaboyev. I mean, oh my gosh, this is a scary man. He just comes to the ring and destroys 2 fights in the UFC, 2 round 1 knockouts. Knocked out Bruno Ferreira in 1:17. Knocked out Cedric Dumas on March 30th in 3 minutes and 18 seconds. This man is crazy. Let me just tell you, this man is crazy. He has such power. He's 6'5". He's a killer. And he's going from middleweight with people similar to his size to now being at welterweight where he's much larger than everyone else. I'm excited to see it. I'm pumped for it. I don't know how it's going to go, but I am torn because I've been riding with the St. Louis fighters so far, you know, the Charles Johnsons, the Sean Woodsons, but I just cannot pick against Nursultan from what I've seen. I liked what I've seen from Joaquin Buckley, but Nursultan has just been such a killer, so intense. I've loved what I've seen, and I think he manhandles them in this one. I'm even going to go with a round 1 KO again for Nursultan Ruzaboyev. He's just too good. He's just too good from what I've seen. Now, obviously, if Joaquin plays on the momentum of being in St. Louis, being in his home country nation, then he can really pull this together, get it done. But as for now, Nursultan is probably going to be my pick for whoever wins this matchup. But People's main event is the co-main event. And with that, we get into our main event as we go the men's heavyweight division as number 12 ranked Derek Lewis takes on number 15th ranked Rodrigo Nascimento. No one knows why this is the main event. No one asked for this fight. No one still wants to see this fight. But I guess we're getting this fight. Heavyweight division, Derek the Black Beast Lewis takes on Rodrigo Zecolmia Nascimento. Derek Lewis, 27-12 with 1 no contest. Rodrigo Nascimento, 11-1 with 1 no contest. 6'3" to 6'2" gives Derek 1 inch in height. Rodrigo has 1 inch in reach, 80 inches to 79, and both men stand in the orthodox fighting position. Let's start with the Black Beast. Derek Lewis holds the record for most knockouts in UFC history. Was he up to 14, 15, 16? He has so many now. It's hard to keep count. The 39-year-old is from Houston, and of his 27 wins, has 22 knockouts, and he even has 1 submission. 1 submission. I don't know when he got that. Did he get that submission in the UFC? I actually would be very interested to know. I don't think he has. I have no idea when he got a submission, but he did at some point. Derek Lewis fought 3 times last year. Got submitted in February against Sergey Spivak. Came back and had one of the craziest 33 seconds I've ever seen in a fight, knocking out Marcos Sergio de Lima. And then got brutally outgrappled by Halton Almeida in November. Halton Almeida set the record for most control time by a heavyweight with 21 minutes and 10 seconds of control time. But thank goodness Derek is back. He's taken on a striker, hopefully, in Rodrigo Nascimento. Rodrigo, 31 years old, from Brazil. Of his 11 wins, 2 KOs and 6 subs. That's it. That's all I got for him. 3 wins, little 3-fight win streak for him. I mean, hasn't really done much in the UFC. Wins on this win streak: Dontel Mays, E.R. Latifi, and Tanner Boser. I have nothing to say. I have nothing to say. If Derek Lewis does not knock out Rodrigo Nascimento in round number 1, I am going to riot. I am going to riot if that happens. I'm going to cancel every membership I have and just jump off a bridge. Derek Lewis, round 1 knockout. Inject it into my veins. I have 3 round 1 knockouts predicted in a row. I have 4 round 1 finishes predicted in a row. Wow. That's a lot. I'm an ambitious man. What can I say? I'm an ambitious man. But Derek Lewis, I mean, what more do you want? Well, on paper, Rodrigo Nascimento, and from footage, is no different than Marcos Sergio de Lima, who Derek Lewis knocked out last July. Okay, Derek Lewis should knock him out. If anything else happens, I think people will just be sad. If Rodrigo wins, everyone will be sad. So, Derek Lewis, round 1 knockout, to the moon, jot it down, send it to the papers, cash your bets. Let's make it happen. So, gonna be a fun evening. You know, I'm excited to see what goes down. I mean, certainly there are some fun fights on here, but as for this card, you know, there's brighter ones on the horizon. That's for certain. There are definitely brighter cards coming up ahead, but we do treasure ones like these that have a crowd. Because when there aren't a crowd, it's so dull. And by the way, we don't have a crowd for our May 18th fight. We take May 25th off. We're back in June. June's a banger. UFC 302, UFC Louisville, UFC Saudi Arabia, UFC 303, and then just it keeps rolling. So we're gonna suffer through May a bit. We're gonna suffer through May, and then June we are just, oh man, June we are rewarded. Even July we should be rewarded. And August too. The UFC's got big things planned, and I'm excited to see it. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, that'll wrap up our episode. Fun one. Lots we went over. Lots to talk about. That's the Surprise Gem Podcast. You get all sorts of surprises along the way. Might I add, I do start my internship Monday. I'll be working 8 to 5, Monday through Friday, so I will try and still get out 2 episodes a week. We'll see. I'm not going to make any promises, but we'll make sure at some point every week we get out 1 episode. Maybe it'll just be a full week recap before we predict an event like we did today on a Friday, but nonetheless, we will make sure this gets out to the people. I love making these. It's so fun. Ladies and gentlemen, have an amazing day. Have an amazing life. I don't know, something broad. Make it the best. Make it the best. Whatever you're doing right now, make it the best thing you can do. I have no idea. Sometimes I can't even get the get the motivational juices flowing. But I'm in for a fun night going out with the parents. I hope everyone, okay. We're dragging this out. Sometimes I drag it out too much. I'm a yapper. So I've been told. My girlfriend tells me, Zach, sometimes you yap too much. I'm like, I can't help it. That's what a podcast host is supposed to do. Ladies and gentlemen, I will without a doubt catch you next time on the Surprise Jab Podcast.